Hello and welcome back to SRB Gaming. As you can see on the screen, I've recently done a mission to Sarnus, which is a ringed Saturn analog planet from the KSP Outer Planets mod. And it is a very high quality mod. I recommend you get it, and honestly some of these planets look like they should be in stock. Anyway, I sent a mission to the tiny moon of Ovoc, which is a very small, although quite rounded moon, and I believe the explanation for that given in the description is that it's extremely low density, and because of that, it has very few impact craters, and the surface is extremely smooth. This is almost the most perfect sphere you're going to find outside of a gas giant in this game. As such, landing on it is pretty simple. It has a gravity of about 0.2 meters per second squared, so definitely less than Minmus. Its radius is extremely small. I believe it's a little bit bigger than Phobos in real life, but it has way more gravity because Kerbal moons are extremely dense. Anyway, so I came back to stock, well, kind of stock KSP, after doing real solar system for weeks, and I felt it would be too easy because real solar system is hard. So I added TAC Lifesupport, as you can see, and I am using that to add a challenge, and I brought Jeb along on this mission. The pod has room for two, but I just wanted to bring one to be sure I had enough life support, and my goal is to get him back to Kerbin after landing on Ovok. And I'm glad to say I succeeded with that, and that entire mission will be in this video. Anyway, I brought 1,500 Earth days worth of TAC supplies, which is a little over 4 years, and I also brought some waste refiners to bring wastewater back into water, but I do not believe there's one for food, so they aren't that great in the long run. But anyway, I actually thought it would be too much supplies, but I ended up coming in with about 100 days to spare, as you'll see at the end, so I did manage to do it. So the mission plan was to get into orbit around Sarnus, which actually took a lot less delta V than I expected, even less to get back to Earth. Get into orbit around Sarnus, drop the orbit down to within the rings, because that's where Ovoc is located, and then achieve orbit around Ovoc. Since Ovoc is so small, you can't really go outside about 20,000 meters. It's a little more than that, but you got to be careful with your orbit. So I brought it down to about 13,000 because that's right above the time warp limit, and I wanted to be able to warp with the main ship. You'll see the ship design. It is built with procedural fuel tanks. Made them very nice and shiny. Lots of TAC supplies, 3 atomic engines on the back. The TAC refineries are on the front, and then we have a two Kerbal K2 pod from the K2 mod, which is reminiscent of the Gemini pod, although it is not the one from FASA that I've used in other videos. And attached we have a lander with RCS jets, a docking port, and Rockomax engine and some landing legs. Now the lander has enough life support to sustain a single Kerbal for 40 days, and that is plenty to land, but that is not plenty to get home. So in order to get back, Jeb is going to have to dock with his mothership and send that back to Kerbin. And I've done a lot of docking, but it's all been with Mech Jeb. And I'm proud to say that today was my first docking without Mech Jeb. After watching it so many times, it wasn't even that bad. But yeah, and that went well. Anyway, again, the surface of Ovoc is very flat, so you can pretty much land anywhere as long as you don't hit the very edge of an impact crater, and there aren't very many, so you should be fine. It will not be a difficult landing at all, other than the fact that the gravity is a bit low, but it's significant enough. You won't have any problems like in the Phobos video where I had to shoot grappling hooks into the ground. Ovoc is one of the 2 innermost tiny moons of Sarnus. The other one is called Hale. It's a lot smaller and a lot more irregular. It kind of looks like Gilly, but it has the same gravity, at least according to the map screen. And I did catch some sights of those, and you might see Hale in this video if you look closely, but I did not land there. I also have distant object enhancers, I believe that's what it's called. Anyway, it just lets you see planets from far away like you would be able to in real life. They just look like kind of stars. You can tell that Jool is green, but it was pretty cool because you can see the moons of Sarnus quite a bit out, and you can see them get bigger as you approach. I could also see the other 2 outer planets, Nidon and Urlum, coming in, but Those don't have moons, so I will not be sending missions there yet. So, this Sarnus is a gas giant, of course, Saturn analog. Its gravity is twice as high as Joule, which meant that I did do aerobraking, and basically the aerobraking altitude for Joule is about 120,000 meters, and I just figured, well, multiply that by 220 for 240,000 meters, and yeah, it worked well. My orbit extended just a little bit below Eeloo. Outer Planets mod moves Eeloo and makes it a moon of Sarnus, and to replace Eeloo, they put another one called Plock, yeah, something like that. That is just a Val right now. They're gonna change it to look like a Pluto analog once New Horizons passes Pluto in July, is what I heard. Anyway, the aerobraking, yeah, went well, and then I just circularized, and encountering Ovoc was it's harder than Minmus, obviously, but it's far easier than Phobos. Its size makes it so that you kind of need to treat it like a rendezvous, but at the same time, the gravity is significant enough that you probably will have time to circularize before you go speeding out at escape velocity. I actually came in pretty fast, but I had just enough thrust in my 3 LVN nuclear engines to stop the ship. Well, bring it into orbit, not stop it. I was actually so far from the periapse that I just had a trajectory that would send me into the surface, and then I just burnt prograde, and you saw that earlier. The Outer Planets mod, well, I'll just go over what it adds since I've got time to talk. We've got Hail and Ovoc, which are the 2 inner moons within Sarnus's rings. The next one is Eeloo, which is from the stock game, but they moved it as a moon. Past Eeloo, we have Slate, which is it's almost like Tylo, I would say. Its gravity is about 8.3 meters per second squared, I believe, so quite high. And it's supposed to be like Kerbin without the atmosphere or the water, and that is going to be a challenge to land on, especially considering how far out Sarnus is to begin with. And then the outer moon is called Tecto. That's the new one. It is a Titan analog. If you've watched the Titan video from the real solar system, you'll know that, or if you just know about Titan in general, Titan is a moon with low gravity, but it has an extremely dense atmosphere. And as such, the atmosphere extends rather high, and it's very thick, thicker than Earth's. And Tecto does that here. We have a very thick atmosphere. It looks almost like a swamp planet with green and water. The real Titan would have liquid methane seas. There's no oxygen in the atmosphere of Tecto, and Tecto is rather far out in its orbit. So I am really interested in that one, so I'm probably going to try and send a mission there eventually. And then, as I mentioned before, it has 2 other gas giants, a blue one with rings that's supposed to represent Uranus, and that's Erlum. And then we also have Nidon, which is supposed to represent Neptune. It is purple, but I think we can get over that. And if you have custom asteroids installed, it will actually spawn custom asteroids within the rings or on eccentric orbits far out in the systems of the gas giants. I do not have that, but it's interesting. And this is a very, very high quality mod. I recommend you get it if you're looking for more planets. And honestly, I think they should add this to the stock game, because it's I don't know about moving Eeloo, but other than that, it's a really good mod. So, back to the video. After docking, I sent the Sarnus 1 main ship out of orbit around Ovok, and then we did a burn to get back to Kerbin, which was barely any fuel. Did you know it only takes 1.2 kilometers per second to get to Kerbin from Sarnus? It's really not that hard to get back. It's over twice that to get there. But and then detach the pod, re-enter, went well. Slowed myself down, we landed on the poles, which is funny because we just came back from a ball of ice and we landed on an ice cap. Anyway, Jeb got a bunch of ribbons from the Final Frontier mod, which I added. It gives you awards to your Kerbals for doing things, being the first to do something. Anyway, thanks for watching. I will be coming back to this mod later. Please subscribe, push the button in the corner when it shows up, and comment if you have any suggestions. See you next time.